Hello everybody. So this week we are adding some more intervals to our possibilities for sight singing. So today we're going to talk about Modus Novus Chapter 3, which is major and minor thirds. So before we do that, let's go ahead and do a little bit of warm-up. We'll start off with some scales, do a little bit of intervals. Let's go ahead and go for it. Ready? Major scale. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. Major scale. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. Let's do harmonic minor. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. Here we go. Sing this note on La. Hear tritone above in your head. Okay. Sing this note on La. Hear a minor sixth above in your head. Okay. That's enough right now. We'll get plenty more intervals today. So, for major thirds and minor thirds, the big thing that Modus Novus wants you to take away is that the major third especially is quite important because of the possibilities for augmented triads. So, the way to quickly recognize augmented triads is to recognize their shape and be able to quickly modify your enharmonic pitches to all being mentally a major third away. So for instance, in these first two measures, we see C, E, and G sharp, right? And then the second measure, we see C, A flat, and E, right? So the first measure would look to us like a C augmented, the second like an A flat augmented. So as we talked about last week, part of the goal of post-tonal singing is to be able to get very, very quick visual fluidity with being able to recognize the sides between pitches regardless of enharmonic. So seeing that these two are the same entities, despite how they're spelled differently, is important, right? So in the third and fourth measure, you have something similar. You have D sharp, F double sharp, B, right? So this is kind of like a D sharp augmented, or let's see, it would be actually, it's more of actually a B augmented. Then we go up to E flat, B, G. So we go from a B augmented to an E flat augmented. Same thing, right? Visually, they look quite different, but you have to be able to recognize that aurally they're exactly the same sound objects. Okay, so the melodies 17 and 18 here provide you some examples of melodies that are built with major and minor thirds. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first one. Let's go ahead and sing 17 through with the keyboard. And then we'll go ahead and take a break, and then we'll take a look at 18, and then you'll do it without me. So here we go. So there's your first pitch for 17. Let's go ahead and sing it on La, or you could sing it on La. You could sing it on Mi if you're doing fixto. You could sing it on 4 if you're doing integers. Whatever. Okay, ready? Here we go. With the keyboard. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so recognizing the major third ascent here, right? We've got our augmented triad. We've got step down, whole step down. We've got another major third. We've got another major third. But then we've got a minor third ascent, right? So a way to orient that F is around the G flat from early in that measure, right? See that? So that kind of effect. So we've got ascending augmented triad, descending augmented triad, minor third, right? Okay, so that whole melody is just 2 augmented triads and a minor third above the final one. Okay, so for 18, here's your first pitch. This could be 11 or La or B or T in whatever solfege you're using. Okay. Take 30 seconds. No, you don't need that much time. Take 15 seconds. Take a look at this one, and then we're gonna go ahead and sing it without me. Ready? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so hopefully you ended with me. Not very long, okay? What's going on here? Well, just like the last one, we've got 2 augmented triads with steps to kind of connect us. So the pitch that we start on descends by half step, right? Then we have an augmented triad. Descend by step, descend by another step, okay? Whole step and half step respectively. And then we've got another augmented triad, right? So we've got, or pardon me, right? Okay, let's go ahead and try that again. Ready? 2 augmented triads and a couple half steps and whole steps. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Playing around with these different augmented shapes. Okay, so let's take a look at this. A little bit longer melodies. Let's go ahead and do each of these piecemeal. Okay, so 35 is just those 2 measures, 36 is just those 2 measures, and so on. So take a look at 35. Let's just do this pretty systematically. So 35, right out the bat, what do you notice? Well, we descend an augmented triad, we descend a half step, we descend another augmented triad, and then we go down to this one. Right? All it is 2 augmented triads with the semitone in the middle. Now, this whole chapter of Modus Novus, especially because of how much Edlund places significance on augmented triads and on the major third, a lot of these exercises are going to be recognizable shapes of augmented triads. Okay? So hearing that as its own kind of sonic artifact will be really useful for this chapter. Okay? So after we go, we then C sharp down to A, up to C natural. So remember, like that previous example from a couple back, if we kind of remember in our memory, in our tonal memory, where the C sharp is, when we go back up, we just go a half step below that. So we have this kind of effect. Right? And so on. Okay? From the C, we go up a minor third. Right? And then we descend a major third. Same deal there, where you know that you have to go a minor third up, but so that way you don't reset backwards, you end a half step lower than you began, right? So this is the kind of thing that you can plan out for a sight singing purpose. So if I were to hand you a melody, you could look for recognizable objects. Look for, there's an augmented triad, there's this interval, there's that interval, here's this regular pattern, here's a rhythmic fragment. And then for looking at moments like this, look for, okay, what kind of anchor pitches do we have? Well, notice that we've got C sharp to C to B. So we've got this kind of descending line, right? Surrounded by other notes. That could be a way to orient yourself. Whereas before we would have sol and do to orient ourselves. In this case, we have to kind of invent our anchors, but that could be a place to do it, okay? So let's go ahead and sing through this one together. This is 35, just those 2 measures. There's your first pitch. Let's go ahead, sing it on La, or Re, or Tu, or D. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so 36. I'm not going to talk about 36. I'm going to go ahead and give you 20 seconds. Okay, it's only a single measure basically. 20 seconds. Go ahead and take a look at this one. And we'll go ahead and do it without me in just a moment. Okay, here we go. Here's your first pitch, which I may have forgotten to give you before, so I apologize. First pitch. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so for this one, interesting thing, we've got a clear separation in these two because we have two recognizable triadic shapes. The first beat, pardon me, an A flat augmented triad, right? Okay. However, the second beat into the downbeat of the following measure is just, pardon me, didn't mean to do a little flip there. We've just got an A flat augmented triad followed by an E flat major triad. Notice that what separates those is this kind of falling fourth. So we've got third up, right? We've got a sixth down, okay? The way that this is spelled looks like it would be an augmented fifth, but for our purposes, because we're thinking in terms of thirds, think of it as like a type of sixth, okay? And then from here we do descending fourths, and then we ascend back up a fourth, and then a third to make it into a triad. And so on, okay? So 37 and 38, we're not going to necessarily sing these because they're more just exercises, so I would definitely practice these if you're looking for more assistance. In this case, all we have is this kind of ascending augmented, or these chords that are built off of stacked thirds, okay? So for instance, 37, a shape that we know, right? This is just, in fact, a half diminished seventh chord, right? Notice how 38 changes that, because now instead of doing minor third, perfect fourth, minor third, right? Here we have minor third, now we've got perfect fourth, then we've got minor third, right? Different shape entirely, okay? We still have that, oh, what am I saying? That's not a half diminished. Oh my. Sorry, everybody. It's close. This would be half diminished. It's like a diminished triad with a major seventh. And then in 38, we've got, they have the same interval content, but where we've put the fourth is flipped, right? Third, fourth, third, fourth, third. Okay? It's a subtle difference, but practicing singing this will make not only singing your melodies easier, but hearing subtle differences in chordal and harmonic dictations will make it a little bit easier, okay? Let's do 39. So 39, 6/8 again. Here's your first pitch, okay? It's either re or D or 2 or just la, right? Same deal as what we did with 36. Go ahead and take a look at this one without me. Take about 20 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and play through this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. Here's your first pitch without me. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so in this one is different than the previous ones. This one is not augmented triads, but diminished triads separated by a step. Right? With a major third at the end. Okay? So, minor third, major second, minor third, major third. Okay? So, again, these are the kind of things that we need to get very quick at because it'll make singing a lot easier if you can kind of boil down an entire melody into a pattern of intervals and of relationships. It makes things far simpler when you're on the spot. Okay? So, let's go ahead and end today by taking a look at a pretty substantial melody. Okay? So, rhythmically, not too bad. We've seen things like this before. Be careful that you don't turn these into multiple beats. This is all still one beat with just with the breath mark in the middle. So this is a single beat. This is a single beat. Here's your first pitch. It's either 0 or C or Do or La. Okay. So take a full minute. Look this over. Look for large intervals. Look for intervallic regularity. Look for repetitive rhythmic or kind of triadic repetitions, and also look at where we start and end and if any certain notes of any sort of prominence. So take a full minute, look this over. Okay, so as we've been doing, first time through without me, I'm going to go ahead and conduct in threes. It's in 6/8, but we'll have the beat be the eighth note for the sake of tempo. Okay, so there's your first pitch again. Do or 0 or La or C, whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and go through it. I'll conduct, and then I'll let you know when we've ended. Then we'll go back through and we'll talk about it some more, and then we'll sing it one more time. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk to this one a little bit. Now, there's a couple spots where there's things that might be a little bit tricky. Okay, I want to talk about first, measure 5. A situation where notation and being able to overpower the notation in your mind and see the intervals is between the G flat and the A. Now, that looks visually like a second, right? But in actuality, it sounds a third. G flat to A sounds a minor third, even though it looks like a second on the page, right? So tricky. Right? Same kind of deals we've talked about before, where we've got this kind of descending interval pattern surrounded by other things. So B, right? And so on, okay? Then we go back to B flat again and so on. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Start off with half step descent. Same deal here. We've got a kind of a hidden third in the second. Okay? Once again, this kind of descending half step surrounded by other pitches. and so on. Down another half step. Skip down a minor third. Major second, up a major third. Okay? This measure is fairly complicated. Okay? Because it's a lot of alternations between thirds, seconds, so on. Okay? Measure 3, a shape we're recognized or we're familiar with, stacked fourths. Right? We come out of that by going down a half step. And then we do, instead of stacked fourths, we do stacked minor thirds. Right? So, tricky because of the sharp, so you got to make sure that you mentally can switch E sharp to F quickly. Measure 4 is our most rhythmically quick measure. Okay, more stacked fourths. Okay, a lot of interplay there between sharps and flats. So notice that we go from A flat to F sharp to A sharp, right? What that looks like is down a major second, up a major third, but the way that it looks is it looks like it's all thirds. So once again, be careful. 5 we've talked about. 6. Okay, kind of a similar shape to measure 5, but we've gone lower now, right? Start on B flat, major third up, major third down. We go down a half step. We go down a third, up a minor third, and so on, okay? Measure 7, once again, similar kind of shape. There we go, that's the right accent. Make sure that we don't treat this breath mark as the end of the beat, but rather just kind of a point of pause. Okay, or pardon me. So, 8 is another situation where we've got the accidentals working against us. F down to D flat is, of course, a major third. D flat down to C flat is, of course, a major second. But then we go up a minor third, right? Because C flat to D is a minor third sounding, right? And then we go down another major third. And then we go up a third. This kind of oscillation between these two. And then we go down a half step. And then we end where we started. So once again, another situation where we've got this kind of descending semitone motion. Right? That kind of sound, okay? So this one's got a lot going on. So that's totally okay if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. This is quite a challenging one, and we've ramped up the difficulty of how many intervals we've had quickly. But hopefully, one time through on your own, going through systematically measure by measure, hopefully you're feeling a bit more confident about this. So let's do one more time through, all the way, this time with the piano helping out. Okay? Ready? There is C, or Do, or Zero, or La. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Yeah. Again, a lot going on here. I picked one that would be kind of challenging so we can go through together as a group. So this is a great one to continue to practice and to get really, quite up to snuff. It's actually not that challenging. It's pretty close to, pardon me, it is challenging, but I mean in terms of range. In terms of range, it's not that bad. With the one detour down to A, it fits in generally about a tenth. So this should be relatively accessible for us to sing. So it would be a good one to practice. Or there's, of course, other examples throughout Modus Novus in chapter 3 that would be of use. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk about what we're doing next time. So Today was a singing day. Wednesday will also be a singing day. We're going to talk about tritones. Now, tritones, there's less to talk about than with thirds. Thirds are a bit more complicated. So we're going to move on next time to talking a little bit about trichord operations. I had mentioned this in the first half of the quarter. We're going to go ahead and the next couple weeks systematically cover a different type of trichord operation each time. Yeah, so that'll be next time. Friday's going to be a dictation day for both melodic and harmonic dictation. Participant, oh boy, that's not a word. Participation assignment due Wednesday, May 13th. That is 2 days from now at 10 a.m. This week, I would encourage you to try some of these on your own instruments. We've been doing lots of singing. I've had you submit singing practice for me. We will continue to do lots of singing, but I want you to try to connect some of these skills to your instrument, because if you're still having a hard time hearing things or having a hard time processing a relatively complicated amount of information, maybe trying to kinesthetically apply it to whatever your instrument may be would apply. So I've given you 3 here that I would like you to do. All 3 of these are due, but I've chosen several examples. Number 18 is vocal music. It's got the text underneath. 27 is in treble clef, 31 is in bass clef. I'd like you to submit all 3 of them. You could do them all on your instrument. You could do one of them on your instrument. You could do whatever. Totally fine. If you're a transposing instrument, it doesn't have to be in concert pitch. No big deal. For the vocal music, I'm also assigning it because something I want you all to see. If you're not vocalists, you may not have run into vocal music before, or operatic vocal music anyways, where rhythms are beamed by the text. So they're not beamed by the beat. So for instance, if you have a different syllable on every 16th note, each 16th note gets its own flag. So instead of having 4 16th notes under a beam, you've got 4 individual 16th notes, each with their own flag. So rhythmically, it poses a bit of a kind of an additional hurdle. So that's why I assigned one of those. So take a look at that. If you are going to sing that one to turn it in, you can either try it with the text that's given. The German text is on the bottom. Or you could just sing it on la or do or whatever. So, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help, give you more things to work on, talk about solfege systems, any improvements that you have for the class, anything like that. So, yeah, I'm always available. With that, that's all for today. Next time we will continue our singing, and I will see you then.